Ladies and gentlemen, just the interwebs out there, Sebastian and the strongest style cinephile. And Valentine's Day was yesterday, and we got ourselves a formal announcement for the Fantastic Four cast. Let us geek about that for a scant few minutes because I am very, very excited for it. Because as I've said many times on this channel, a couple things I've said many times on this channel. We'll get to the second thing in a minute. But Fantastic Four is probably wasn't the first comic book that I actually collected, because in my collection I have some Disney comics that I think predated the Fantastic Four ones, but the first one I really remember collecting, going to 7-Eleven when they still had comic books and magazines on the rack. My mom would go there to get her cigarettes to, you know, carry out that habit, which I wish she would kick, but that's a whole nother thing. And I would go get a comic book. I remember getting Fantastic Four. My favorite comic book team. The Thing is my favorite comic book hero. One of my detolf shelves in my home office was just a shelf of Thing figures, from Pops to little McDonald's had Marvel stuff in Happy Meal one time. Got that. A couple, one statue, some Pops, like regular size Pops, one giant Thing Pop. I need to get the zombie one. But Thing is my guy. I fully intend to get a Thing tattoo, probably back there, at some point this year. So that's my guy. So hearing that we finally have the cast announced, it was heavily rumored that Pedro Pascal was going to be Reed Richards. Now that one, I've seen some backlash online about how he's a DEI thing, and of course, you know, woke this, woke that, yada yada yada. My issue with him is not so much the casting of him, it's just that if you're going to get a non-white individual, more Latin slanted individual to be Reed, that's fine, but Pedro's been in this, he's been in that. It's just, we get to this point. Remember when Margot Robbie was considered for Sue Storm? It's like we get into this rut where it's like there's like 3 or 4 kind of it people that have had a couple hits, and now they're on top of mind for everybody, for literally everything. And I'm like, there's tons and tons of actors out there. Like, there's more people that can play these roles. It's like, let's not be so siloed to those individuals that we like here in the moment, that we don't go after new, undiscovered, underestimated, underseen talent that could totally rock it. That's not going to cost a bunch, that can be there for the long haul of these franchise entities. Like, let's just not go for like the new hotness whenever they're hot, and just try to, like, in some cases, square peg round hole them into our casting ideas for these films, which I don't know if Pedro Pascal is a square peg round hole situation, because Reed Richards, I've said it before, like, I don't know about that. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, because he could be Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. He could be a Chris Evans Captain America. He could be a Patrick Stewart as Professor X. He could be a Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Like, he could be somebody that just fits and embodies the role. We just don't know at this point. Now, alongside Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby, fresh off of Mission Impossible, as Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things as Johnny Storm, and Ebon Moss-Bachrach from The Bear as Ben Grimm. Ben Grimm is my guy. I've been meaning to watch The Bear. I've heard good things about it, read good things about it, so I need to finally watch it, especially now that he's been cast. I need to see what kind of chops he's bringing to the table as Ben Grimm. One of the key things about Fantastic Four is the chemistry and the rivalry, the sibling rivalry between Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm. Are they going to have it? Now, that was one of the things about the Tim Story movies, which had Chris Evans as, you know, Johnny Storm, had Michael Chiklis as Ben Grimm. Say what you will about the Tim Story movies, they were grossly underwhelming. Ian Grufford as Reed, he was okay in that role. Jessica Alba, loved her from Dark Angel. She was terribly miscast as Sue Storm, terribly miscast. But the one thing that film got right, one thing that film got spot on, even in both movies, because the second one, Rise of the Silver Surfer, sucked. Galactus as a cloud, come on now. But they got the chemistry between Johnny Storm and the Thing, and their playfulness and their rivalry. Like, Chiklis and Evans just handled that it was amazing. That was like the best thing about the movies. The rest of it, not so much. So are these new guys going to have that same sort of chemistry? Gotta wonder. I don't know. Doctor Doom has not been cast yet. And my thing, which I've said before, on the thing that other thing that I've said before on this channel is, I really hope that they do Doctor Doom justice. Doctor Doom deserves a slow burn. He does not need a Thanos-like, 10-year slow burn, but he should not be rabbit fucked in like 2 movies. Like, no. I've said on this channel that I think they had the perfect MCU setup for Doctor Doom to bring him in, and it sprung out because I want credit for this. I'm gonna keep saying it. I was the one who came up with it. I want credit for it. But springs out of Age of Ultron. Sokovia has been destroyed. So you have Victor Von Doom using family wealth, using his sorcery and all types of stuff like that, manages to help put Sokovia back together. He gets, maybe running water for the people, gets food, gets crops growing again. Like, he helps the country now, start to rebuild and get to a point where they're maybe not where they were, but they're on that path, and they're thriving, and they're thankful and loving of their monarch for doing that for them. And he decides to rename Sokovia Latveria. So we have how it often is in the comics, where Doom, as bad as everybody outside of Latveria thinks he is and knows that he's a supervillain, people inside of Latveria love the guy. And of course, some people don't, but by and large, you have a number of people that do, that truly revere him as their leader, as their monarch, as their kingly sort of figure. You could that just sets it up perfectly for you to have that. And then in the sequel to you have something about him in the first movie, something about him in the second movie, in the third movie. That's where he announces himself on the grand stage, and something very bombastic, something very arrogant, something very Doctor Doom. That's what we need to do with Doom here in this, in these films. Now, we don't know exactly the time period. Now, we've seen even the promo art that they gave us yesterday for the cast. The title, Fantastic Four, the logo was kind of retro. So a lot of people, and this goes back to one of the long-standing talking points about this, was where does it take place? Is it going to be like a 60s period piece? I'm wondering if they do that, and maybe the Fantastic Four go off into the negative zone, and that ends up, they go off to the negative zone in the 60s, and they get spat out, today. But of course, we've already done the person out of time thing with Captain America. So would they do that again? But if they're a period piece, how does that jive with the MCU going forth? Right? Well, remains to be seen. We'll all find out together. And another point about Doctor Doom, and not just my fear with Doctor Doom, is that they're going to rush him because of the just abject disaster that Jonathan Majors has become. Which, talk about a star falling, crashing and burning. Wow. They tied so much to him as Kang, and I'm wondering, I just hope they don't, because they are done with Kang, maybe, unless they recast. They want to pivot to another big bad. The other big bad that they've got is Doctor Doom. So it's oh crap, let's steer over into this lane, and we rush him. That is my single biggest fear with Doctor Doom. Because like I said, it doesn't need a Thanos type of build up, but you don't just rabbit fuck Doctor Doom. You gotta take time, set him up, and really make him impactful once he hits the stage. But all in all, like I said, Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby as Susan Storm, okay. Quinn as Johnny, Moss-Bachrach as the Thing. Remains to be seen how they gelled. Because the biggest thing is, Fantastic Four is a family first. First family of comics. First family of Marvel Comics. That was the slogan for a while. So how did they gel together as a group? Kind of wondered, did they screen test all together to kind of gauge the chemistry? Remains to be seen if they did that. And I'm just wondering about the suits. Are we going to see the Fantastic Car? The old school, bathtub one? Or the newer one that splits off and into the individual pieces? I'm here for it. I love Fantastic Four. I saw both the Tim Story ones. I actually own them on DVD. I own VHS of the Roger Corman bootleg Fantastic Four. I have not seen Fant Four Stick. The Josh Trank Disaster. So part of me is I love the Fantastic Four. I just need to watch it once just to do it. And another part of me is like, bro, like, you know it's horrible. Like, it's like there's this turd sandwich on the table, and it's, you know it's a turd sandwich. So do you eat it, knowing that? But then I don't know. But it's a Fantastic Four turd sandwich. So it's like I've had these other Fantastic Four sandwiches. I need that one because it's Fantastic Four. Just I don't know. I'm really struggling with, do I do that to myself? Who Matt Shakman is as a director with this, don't know. So it's exciting because we're getting movement on MCU Fantastic Four. So I'm very excited for that because I think with Marvel's track history, they should be able to stick to the source material, but kind of give it a real worldy sort of spin for the MCU, and make it good. And I'm excited for it. Do they do a thing as just all CG? Or do they do a practical suit? I wonder. But we'll all find out together now, won't we? But those are some of my thoughts on it, scattered as they often are. But you guys have to think. Let me know in the comments below. Follow me on social media. Talk to me there. Talk to me here. Till next time, of course. Fantastic Four is coming. Let us geek.